At the start of your driving test, you will be asked two questions relating to basic car maintenance. You'll need to be able to explain to your examiner all about various aspects of your car. One of these questions will be show me, and one of the questions will be tell me. Open the bonnet and identify where you would check the engine oil level, and explain how you could test that the engine has sufficient engine oil. Now, in order to do this practical demonstration, you will need to be able to release the bonnet lever, at which point you would leave the car and walk around the front of the vehicle. Use the secondary latch to open the bonnet, and use the prop to ensure the bonnet is secured correctly. Identify where you would pour engine oil into if you needed to top this up. Bear in mind you should not touch anything, as at the moment things could be very hot. Identify the dipstick and explain that you would need to remove the dipstick and wipe the first reading clean, as the initial reading is incorrect. Take a second reading and make sure that the engine oil level is sufficiently marked between the minimum and the maximum marker dots. Show me how you would check that the power-assisted steering is working before beginning a long journey. If you find the steering has become heavy while driving, this is an indication that the power-assisted steering might not be working. To test it before beginning a long journey, we would apply pressure to the steering wheel, so pulling lightly down on the steering wheel. As we start the engine, you'll be able to feel the system loosen in the hand. An alternative method would be to simply drive the car a short distance, do a test, and the steering should feel light and not heavy. Open the bonnet and identify where you would check the engine coolant level, and how you can ensure that there is the correct level of engine coolant in the system. You would need to, again, open the bonnet using the release lever latch, at which point leave the vehicle and walk round the front. Open the bonnet using the secondary latch and ensure it is properly secured using the prop. Identify to your examiner which of the fluid bottles is the engine coolant, and explain that the level must be shown to be between the low and the high marker. Show me how you would check the parking brake, that's the handbrake, for excessive wear, and maintain safe control of the vehicle while conducting this test. We begin by applying the foot brake, squeezing to make sure the car does not roll away. With the handbrake, we release the handbrake and then reapply tightly, so the handbrake should not go all the way to the end of the working travel, which means it should not feel loose, it should tighten securely. Show me how you would clean the windows using the windscreen washers and wipers. Now for this one we'll need a demonstration of cleaning the windows. Using the right hand finger stalk control, pull towards your nose to clean the front window. To clean the back window you'll need to twist the dial on the end of the right stalk all the way clockwise or anti-clockwise to clean the rear window. Show me how you would check that the horn is working correctly. Now this test can only be conducted off-road, and quite simply, make sure the horn is working. Open the bonnet and identify where the brake fluid reservoir is, and explain how you can check that you have a safe level of hydraulic brake fluid. You would need to open the bonnet using the bonnet release lever, at which point exit the vehicle and use the secondary latch to open the bonnet, securing using the prop. Identify the correct bottle for the brake fluid reservoir and explain that the level must be between the minimum and the maximum markers. Show me how you would check that the direction indicators are operating correctly. We would need to either apply the indicators, or we can activate all of the indicator bulbs using the hazard warning lights, at which point it would be important to get out of the car, walk around the car and ensure that all of the correct indicator lights are functioning. Upon returning to the car, turn off the relevant mechanism. Show me how you would check the brake lights are operating correctly on this car. Now for this one, we'll need to apply the brake pedal and send somebody else round the back of the car, maybe your examiner, to check that the red lights, the three red lights that represent the brake lights, are operating correctly. If you don't have anyone to assist, you could use a reflective surface such as a garage door or a window to check the reflections of the brake lights are operating correctly. Tell me how you would check that the brakes are working before starting a long journey. The brakes should be tested at the beginning of a short test drive. The brakes should not feel spongy or slack, and the vehicle should not pull to one side. Tell me how you would check that the headlights and tail lights are correctly operating. And there's no need to exit the vehicle on this question. The first thing we need to do is activate the dipped headlights, which are controlled by this dial on the left-hand stalk, twisting 2 clicks to discover the symbol for the dipped headlights. Now at this point we would normally get out of the car and walk around to make sure that all of the bulbs are operating correctly. But as on the driving test this is a tell me question, there's no need to offer the demonstration. Tell me where you would find the information for the recommended tyre pressures for this car and how the tyres can be checked. Now you would find the information in your car manual. To check the tyre pressures, use a reliable pressure gauge. You must check all 5 tyres so you don't forget to also check the spare tyre in the boot of the car. Do this when the tyres are cold, and when you've finished, refit the valve caps. Tell me how you would check that your tyres have sufficient tread depth and that their general condition is suitable to use on the roads. Now you must make sure that your tyres have a minimum of 1.6 millimeters of tread depth across the central 3/4 of the breadth of the tyre, and there must be no damage to the tyre such as cuts or bulges. Open the bonnet and identify where the windscreen washer reservoir is and how you would check the levels on the window washer. Having opened the bonnet using the latch, you would need to walk around the front of the car and use the secondary lever to open the bonnet, ensuring it is correctly propped up. Identify which of the bottles is the windscreen washer reservoir and explain that it must never ever run out. You can look inside the bottle to try to identify if there is still some fluid inside the system, normally coloured blue. It must be filled up all the way to the maximum marker and ensure it never runs out. Show me how you would set the demister controls to clear all of the windows effectively. Now in this car we can activate the car's demister controls, which is this symbol here. I'll turn the dial to the correct symbol. If available, also activate the car's air conditioning system as well. Over here we can activate the vehicle's rear demisters. These will effectively demist the car. If your car does not have all of these controls, you could try setting it to blow warm air at the windows, or alternatively, opening the windows can sometimes effectively demist the vehicle. Show me how you would activate the car's rear fog lights and explain when they would be used. Now in order to activate the rear fog lights, we first need to turn on the dipped headlights as we've done before. The fog lights are activated by a secondary dial slightly further down the light stalk. The first click is the front fog lights and the second twist is the rear fog lights. Now we can tell these have activated by additional lights which appear on the display. Fog lights must only be used in seriously foggy conditions where visibility is reduced to less than 100 meters and must be turned off when visibility improves. Show me how you would switch your headlights from dipped to main beam and show how you would check the main beam is activated. Now we'd need to turn on the dipped headlights as we've done previously, and to switch to main beam we would push the stalk gently towards the dashboard. and we can check that the system is active by noting the blue light which appears on the dashboard. Tell me how your head restraint should be correctly adjusted so that it provides the best protection in the event of an accident. Most head restraints are adjustable. Some can be non-adjustable. We should ensure that the top of the ears or the eye level is at least in the middle of the rigid part of the head restraint. If you want to adjust the head restraint, you can raise or lower the head restraint to ensure it offers the best protection possible, with the back of the head as close to the head restraint as is comfortable. Tell me how you would check to see if there was a problem with the anti-lock braking system. Now for this demonstration, we'll need to turn on the ignition and check the relevant light for the ABS, that's the anti-lock braking system. So I would turn the key clockwise to activate the ignition, noticing the amber light which appears saying ABS. If the light disappears, the car has passed the diagnostic check and the ABS system is functioning correctly. If the light remains on the dashboard, the system needs to be checked for faults. Thank you for watching the video. You can find full details of the Show Me Tell Me test at my website address as shown below, including a labelled photo of inside the bonnet as well. Keep revising the Show Me Tell Me thoroughly, and remember that failure on one or both of the questions that you would be asked results in just one driver fault on the driving test.